Hey everyone! Contrary to what some might think, Prince Harry's marriage to Meghan Markle, a former TV actress, was part of a bigger plan. According to rumors, Meghan had hoped for a life away from the spotlight, separate from the royal fame. Most people didn't buy it, but Prince Harry apparently did. There were even talks of them doing environmental work while living in Africa. Remember that photo of her helping him on the safari with the elephants and all that? You could just tell by her face that she wasn't enjoying it too far from her usual comforts. There wasn't any glamour, but Harry seemed to be right in his element. This was the life he supposedly wanted, and Meghan played along, promising it was what she wanted too. During their engagement, Meghan mentioned that she was ready to get straight to work from the start. Meanwhile, it's clear that Prince Harry is burning through his money as they settle back in California. What's interesting is that Harry had a role model in mind, and after studying this model, he believed it could be the path for him and Meghan to follow. So, what went wrong? Let me explain. Evidence suggests that Harry did have a plan, and to be fair, it wasn't overly complex. He wanted to create a situation where they could be both in and out of royal life. He even presented this idea to the late Queen Elizabeth II, confident that it could work for both him and Meghan, both as a couple and individually. However, as you can see, the Queen was far too sharp during that royal train journey. She had already figured out what Meghan Markle was up to. Regardless of how you feel about that trip, I have some behind-the-scenes info that I'm not allowed to share. But the truth is, the Queen had Meghan figured out. She knew Meghan would never willingly take on the more demanding parts of royal life, like getting up early to visit people or doing charity work, as the Duchess of Edinburgh does, far from the spotlight. During those royal walkabouts, you could see Meghan constantly searching for the camera's red light, and once you notice that, you realize that's what it was all about. Harry, as you can see, based his plan on another royal couple who are very much in love, Zara and Mike Tyndall. Mike, a nice guy from Wakefield in Yorkshire, seems easygoing and unbothered by anything. What Harry admired most was how they still enjoyed royal privileges, like being invited to major events, thanks to Princess Anne, Zara's mother. It's important to note that Zara didn't receive a royal title like her brother, which allowed her to live a different life. This is exactly what Princess Anne wanted for her children, a chance to follow their own path without the pressures of royal titles. Harry reportedly presented this idea to the Queen because he liked the format. However, Her Majesty wasn't too keen on it, knowing the British monarchy needed more support to move forward in the 21st century. She also understood that Meghan had no real intention of splitting her time between the UK and elsewhere. Standing on the balcony for events like Trooping the Colour, for example, would have certainly brought them benefits. But let's not forget, this was a queen who had been on the throne for 70 years. She had seen it all. Unfortunately for Harry, he was disappointed to find out that his plan to follow Zara and Mike's model was never going to work. Everyone saw through Meghan's act, except for poor Harry, who seems to be the last to realize it. From the moment she entered the scene, it was obvious to anyone paying attention that Meghan was more interested in the spotlight than in fulfilling royal duties. Even before stepping into the palace, she was already preparing for her next big role, one where she starred as the constant victim in her own soap opera. That engagement interview, it sealed the deal for anyone still unsure. The exaggerated smiles, over-the-top charm, and endless hints about modernizing the monarchy were all clear signs she wanted the title without the responsibility, the glamour without the effort. And let's not forget, Princess Anne, who's no stranger to palace drama, saw right through Meghan's act from the very beginning. You have to give it to Princess Anne, she doesn't sugarcoat anything. I never forget a face, but I'm willing to forget yours, Meghan. What a perfect line. As for Harry, bless him, he's either blinded by love or too naive to see that he's just another piece in Meghan's endless pursuit of attention. He fell for her Hollywood charm completely, not realizing that everyone else could see through her clear ambitions. It's almost sad to watch him try to keep up with her constantly changing narratives, defending her at every turn while she pulls him further away from his family, his responsibilities, and his dignity. Meanwhile, Meghan continues to perform, hopping from one platform to the next, sharing her stories of royal victimhood to anyone who will listen, not realizing her act is getting old. Harry, still there, claps like a fool at the end of every performance, unaware he's the one being played. And so the show goes on, much to the amusement of those who saw it all from the start. From the start, Meghan came in with dreams of tiaras, castles, and the title of princess, thinking she would waltz into the palace, be adored by everyone, and stand on equal footing with Catherine. She pictured herself as a modern Cinderella, only to realize that being a working royal is more about responsibility and service than glitz and glamour. When it became clear she wouldn't instantly be a royal superstar, treated like a queen without a crown, she reacted like any spoiled diva by throwing a massive tantrum. And what a tantrum it was. Instead of adjusting to her new role, Meghan decided to rewrite the rules to suit her. How dare they not cater to her every whim? How dare they expect her to actually earn her place? Unlike Catherine, who earned her respect with grace and dignity, Meghan wanted everything handed to her: the title, the prestige, and the worldwide adoration on a silver platter. When Meghan didn't immediately become the center of attention in the royal family, she didn't turn against the institution that welcomed her, but rather set her sights on Catherine. Catherine, who had quietly and gracefully earned her place, became Meghan's target. For years, Meghan couldn't handle being in the background, especially compared to Catherine, who naturally embodies the qualities Meghan seems to desire: grace, respect, and effortless public admiration. Instead of accepting her position, Meghan painted a narrative of mistreatment, casting herself as a victim, while Catherine simply did the job Meghan found too challenging or uninteresting. And now we're witnessing the aftermath of Meghan's decision. Rather than embracing her role, she chose to sever ties, bringing Harry along for the journey. Together, they've waged a battle not just against the royal family, but against basic logic, complaining about their unfair treatment while living in luxury in California. Meghan has repeatedly shown that if she can't be the queen, she'll try to tear down the castle from the outside. Meanwhile, Harry seems to play a supporting role, unaware that Meghan's desire to be on the same level as Catherine is driven more by envy than equality. Meghan's battle isn't just with Catherine, but with anyone who dares to tell her no. And so the drama continues, a never-ending saga where Meghan writes, directs, and stars in her own tragic soap opera. Part of the problem is her lack of understanding of the royal family's history and traditions. What's frustrating is that Harry didn't take the time to educate her about his family's ways, which might have helped her feel more at ease, unless, of course, they had already planned to leave the UK. It raises the question, did Meghan always intend to step away from the royal life? After all, love can be blind, and given that she had been married before, it's likely she knows how to influence a man in this kind of position. I really hope karma plays a role in this situation. It's heartbreaking that there are children involved. In the public eye, Meghan Markle has become one of the most divisive figures of our time. Once celebrated as a refreshing addition to the British royal family, she now has a reputation for drama, conflict, and diva-like behavior. This has led to a lot of chatter among Hollywood insiders and former royal staff, with serious allegations of bullying and an apparent inability to work well with others. Meghan seems to find herself in controversy at every turn, but she's not the only one in the spotlight. Prince Harry is increasingly seen as complicit, almost an enabler of her actions, appearing either powerless or unwilling to address the chaos she creates. From the bright lights of Hollywood to the majestic halls of the British monarchy, Meghan's journey has certainly been rocky. Initially, people embraced her for her modern style and bold personality, but things have changed dramatically. Meghan quickly became a controversial figure, earning herself a long list of critics. Insiders from Hollywood and former royal staff have shared a troubling view of a woman who is not only tough to work with, but also seems to create a lot of unhappiness around her. Wherever she goes, the accusations are serious. Meghan has been labeled a bully, lacking basic decency in her interactions. Reports indicate she often resorts to swearing, belittling, and harshly reprimanding those who don't meet her demands or align with her expectations. This behavior has not only driven away colleagues, but also made it hard for her to get support for her projects. What's particularly striking is how consistent these complaints are, no matter the setting, whether in Hollywood, the UK, or beyond. Meghan seems to be fostering an environment that is both toxic and unsustainable. It's not just about style, it's about substance, or the lack of it. Meghan has gained a reputation for being harsh, dismissive, and completely intolerant of differing opinions. Her critics often highlight her manipulative tendencies, pointing to a pattern of behavior that goes well beyond being assertive. They argue that she frequently lies, plays mind games, and belittles those around her to establish her dominance. This is a classic case of a bully who thrives on power and control, often targeting the most vulnerable to assert her authority. Former staff members have shared experiences that feel more like scenes from a reality TV show than the dignified world of royal service. Meghan reportedly has little patience for anyone who questions her choices or challenges her ideas. Instead, she fosters an atmosphere of fear where people are either too scared to speak up or too worn out to keep working with her. This behavior is especially troubling given Meghan's position and the influence she wields. Her actions reveal a deep need for validation and control, qualities that don't foster a positive collaborative atmosphere. As a result, she has left a trail of broken relationships and failed projects, highlighting the dysfunction she has created. While a lot of the criticism focuses on Meghan, Prince Harry also shares some of the blame. Once a beloved figure in the UK, he is now often seen as complicit in Meghan's actions. Instead of helping her manage her more aggressive tendencies, Harry seems to have become her biggest supporter, a yes person who backs her without question, even when her behavior is clearly harmful. His role in this situation is complex. On one hand, he is deeply in love with Meghan and feels a strong sense of loyalty and duty to protect her. On the flip side, Harry's unwavering support for Meghan, regardless of how toxic it may be, has only escalated the drama and controversy surrounding them. By standing by her through every scandal, public argument, and controversial decision, he has aligned himself with her choices, whether they are right or wrong. Critics argue that his willingness to support Meghan at any cost shows a lack of independent judgment. He often appears to be completely under her influence, to the point where he seems to have lost his own voice. This perception is made worse by his apparent choice to ignore her more troubling behaviors, suggesting he either doesn't realize the harm being caused or simply doesn't care. Another common criticism aimed at Meghan is her seeming inability to perceive reality accurately. Some describe her reasoning as skewed. She appears to believe she is always right, regardless of any evidence to the contrary. This delusional view of herself is particularly concerning because it fuels her antagonistic behavior and contributes to the endless cycle of conflict she creates. It seems that Meghan believes in her own hype, viewing herself as a misunderstood genius whose brilliance is held back by those around her. This mindset might explain why she lashes out at anyone who doesn't share her vision or meet her expectations. She often positions herself as a victim in every situation, shifting blame onto others while avoiding accountability for her actions. This behavior is a classic sign of narcissism, marked by an inability to accept criticism alongside a deep need for admiration and validation. Meghan's constant quest to be seen, heard, and validated may come from insecurities that push her to seek attention and affirmation, often at the expense of those around her. While the relationship between Meghan and Harry is often depicted as one of mutual support and devotion, some suggest there might be more to it. Their partnership could be less about love and more about a toxic codependency. Having grappled with his own identity and purpose within the royal family, Harry may see Meghan as a savior, offering him a sense of direction and meaning. In return, Meghan appears to thrive on the attention and platform that her association with Harry provides. However, this dynamic has its drawbacks. Harry seems to have lost himself in Meghan's world, becoming less of an independent figure and more of an accessory to her ambitions. He appears willing to support whatever Meghan decides, even when those choices have harmful effects on their public image or personal well-being. Their relationship has evolved into a symbiotic one, where both rely on each other's need for attention and validation. Meghan brings the drama and controversy, while Harry offers the royal connection and headlines. It's a mutually beneficial arrangement, but one that seems destined for conflict and chaos. Meghan has frequently spoken about her struggles with mental health, which has earned her both sympathy and criticism from the public. While some admire Meghan for her openness in discussing personal issues, others believe she uses her mental health struggles as a shield to deflect criticism and avoid accountability. Her frequent mentions of these challenges have become a point of contention. For many, it seems that Meghan leverages her vulnerabilities not as a plea for understanding, but as a convenient excuse to evade responsibility for her actions. This has led to accusations that she exploits real mental health issues to manipulate public perception. The problem with this approach is that it risks trivializing mental health, reducing it to mere tools for gaining sympathy and support. By doing this, Meghan may unintentionally undermine the very cause she claims to advocate for, creating doubt and skepticism about her true motivations. One of the major criticisms of her is that she seems to live in an echo chamber of her own creation, surrounded by people who either support her unconditionally or are too afraid to challenge her. Meghan appears to be shielded from any criticism or differing viewpoints. This echo chamber effect allows her to maintain the belief that she is always right and that any shortcomings are due to others, not her own mistakes. This insular mindset is dangerous as it hinders growth and self-awareness. Without constructive feedback or the ability to accept criticism, Meghan is unlikely to change her behavior. Instead, she may find herself trapped in a cycle of repeating the same mistakes while expecting different outcomes, a classic definition of insanity. This environment is further supported by Harry's unwavering backing. As her most vocal defender, he seems to echo her thoughts, reinforcing her belief that she is always the victim, never the villain. This dynamic creates a feedback loop where negative behaviors are never questioned or corrected, but instead amplified. Meghan has positioned herself as a compassionate, socially conscious figure deeply invested in issues like mental health, women's rights, and social justice. However, critics argue that Meghan's compassion appears highly selective, offered generously when it benefits her but withheld when it doesn't. For instance, her public support for various causes is often accompanied by media coverage and carefully staged photo opportunities. Yet, when it comes to her interactions with those closer to her, such as former staff, colleagues, or even family members, she is frequently seen as cold, ruthless, and unforgiving. This inconsistency has led many to question the authenticity of her compassion, suggesting it may be more of a public relations strategy than a true reflection of her values. Looking back at Meghan's journey, one can observe a troubling pattern of self-sabotage. Her story could have been one of triumph, a biracial woman making her way into the upper echelons of the British royal family, using her platform for good and injecting fresh energy into a centuries-old institution. Instead, it has turned into a cautionary tale of ambition, arrogance, and the dangers of believing one's own hype. Meghan seems to be shaping her own troubles, often making decisions that push people away rather than bringing them closer. Critics describe her actions as controlling, dishonest, and overly demanding, which has turned those who could have supported her into opponents and wasted the goodwill she once had. It's unclear if they recognize the damage they're doing to their own image. What is obvious, however, is that their constant complaints and public arguments only add to the idea that they care more about the spotlight than making a real difference. For now, it seems they're content to keep playing their parts in this ongoing drama, but the real question is, how long will the public stay interested before losing patience? Meghan and Harry's story is one full of potential. An ongoing tale of missed opportunities and self-sabotage playing out for everyone to see. Some watch with curiosity, while others grow tired of the endless royal drama, wondering what the next chapter will bring. How do you feel about it? Let us know in the comments. Thank you for watching our videos. We always appreciate your likes, shares, and subscriptions. Take care, and we'll see you in the next one.